What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sanichi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's army is practicing how to respond to a sudden increase in Chinese aggression, part of a new kind of training that mobilizes soldiers as quickly as possible. Jaime Okan reports.
Taiwan's skies under the watchful eye of a high-tech air defense system. And at a temple in northern Taiwan, armored vehicles and tanks prepare for their next move. These are just parts of Taiwan's rapid response exercise, a 5-day drill that tests how quickly the military can mobilize.
那既然他们会由训转战，我们也可以由训转战啊。那由训转战的话，部分就是说你要透过这种类似类战备的操演展现给这些部队的坚实战力给民众看，然后其实民众也会比较有兴致。
The exercises, the first of their kind, are meant to simulate what to do if aggressive Chinese military activity turns into an actual attack. In response, China, which seeks to control Taiwan, has already conducted 2 combat patrols, using dozens of military aircraft to monitor what the military here is doing. Taiwan's defense minister says that despite the added pressure, the increase in military activity could be an important lesson.
备战的操演，就是会做一个状况的想定，然后发布。那像昨天这样子一个联合战备群发布之后，我们刚好也可以趁着这个机会，来进行相对应的操演。
Taiwan's defense ministry has been shifting military training, combining different weapons and units to get their soldiers ready for a variety of situations. Realistic training has been a priority for Taiwan's military, and some observers say that these drills so far look promising.
Just the fact that the Ministry of National Defense seems to be taking very seriously the risk that a gray zone exercise or demonstration could morph into an actual assault is a really important movement in the right direction. Apparently, we are seeing both the rapid mobilization of units, that's just an enormously beneficial first step, but then also this attempt to use some more modern and advanced tactics in order to achieve a bit of concealment, in order to not mass a lot of armored vehicles in one place that would just make them a tempting target for a drone or a long-range missile.
Other branches like the Air Force and the Navy are set to conduct their own exercises later this week. The aim here is for the military to continue carrying out these kinds of operations, taking bigger steps towards becoming a more modern fighting force. Fu Huahong and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has rejected a 30-day ceasefire with Ukraine proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump, agreeing instead to halt attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. It follows a phone call between the two leaders on how to end the 3-year-long war. Rick Lowrett reports.
Another uneasy night for residents of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, as air raid sirens wail and explosions ring out. Many here unconvinced that peace with Russia is any closer after President Vladimir Putin had a call with US President Donald Trump, agreeing to a 30-day pause on hitting Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
Я думаю, що якщо Росія дійсно перестане бити по інфраструктурі українській, то, звісно, це буде означати, що це якийсь крок в сторону перемир'я, але, якщо чесно, не дуже віриться, що воно буде тривалим.
І розмовляти про мир з такими людьми, це ні до чого не призведе в майбутньому.
Trump, who has made brokering peace in Ukraine a top priority of his presidency, said the 90-minute phone conversation with his Russian counterpart was a very good and productive one. And although Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed the potential first phase of a ceasefire, he says the lack of details leaves him feeling uneasy.
Ми відносимось зі скепсисом з точки зору довіри к русским. Довіри до Путіна немає. Тому я й кажу, треба зрозуміти, як технічно це буде відбуватися, щоб це не залежало тільки від їх бажання. Ось і все.
Trump's push for peace, which has included withdrawing support from Ukraine to force it to the negotiating table, has upended this war, strained US-Europe relations, and put Putin in a stronger position during negotiations.
Well, Russia is trying to get a ceasefire where no additional military aid arrives in Ukraine. And that would be devastating for Ukraine because Russia will continue to receive its military supplies, both from its domestic sources and likely from the Iranians and the North Koreans. So it would greatly handicap Ukraine. And of course, the longer it went on, the more handicapped Ukraine would become.
Russia's targeting of Ukraine's energy infrastructure has crippled the country throughout the grinding 3-year war. Putin's agreement to cease these attacks, perhaps a positive step towards peace, but one viewed with deep skepticism here in Ukraine and beyond. Patrick Chen and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
The 2-month ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has collapsed, with the Israeli military launching what it described as extensive airstrikes on cities across Gaza. Rosie Renninger reports.
This is the aftermath of Israeli bombings in Gaza, the country unleashing a wave of airstrikes on the enclave, shattering a 2-month ceasefire with Hamas. The assault hit densely populated areas, including Khan Yunis and Rafah, regions many Palestinians had recently returned to during the pause in fighting that came into effect in January.
كل العائلة تقريبا استشهدت كلهم استشهدوا واحنا بيتنا انهد علينا احنا البيت اللي جنبهم بشكل مباشر. في كمان اصابات عند دار السطري. حتى الان بطلع في الناس من تحت الردم.
The Gazan Ministry of Health says more than 400 people are dead, including the highest-ranking Hamas official, Mahmoud Abu Watfa, and hundreds more injured. Israel blamed Hamas for the resumption of fighting, claiming the group repeatedly refused proposals to extend the ceasefire and release all Israeli hostages after the first phase of the truce ended 2 weeks ago.
יחד עם שר הביטחון, קיבלתי את המלצת צה"ל והמלצת גורמי הביטחון לחזור ללחימה עצימה נגד החמאס. מכאן ואילך, ישראל תפעל נגד החמאס בעוצמה הולכת וגוברת. ומכאן ואילך, משא ומתן יתנהל רק תחת אש.
A decision Hamas says was unprovoked and will put the lives of Israeli hostages in jeopardy. 59 of the 251 people taken to Gaza from Israel over a year ago remain in the enclave, although around half of them are believed to be dead. The resumption in fighting is also raising concerns at the United Nations and the World Health Organization, who say access to medical treatment in Gaza is dwindling. Israel blocked the flow of all aid to the enclave 2 weeks ago, as talks for a permanent ceasefire stalled. But at the UN Security Council, the US stood by their ally, placing the blame on Hamas and pledging their support for Israel's military action.
President Trump has made clear that Hamas must release the hostages immediately or pay a high price, and we support Israel in its next steps.
This has prompted protests in the US and across the globe, including within Israel, condemning the return to fighting, while the families of Israeli hostages are pleading with their government to halt fighting.
We must do everything in our power to bring them back. We must return to the ceasefire negotiations and secure the release. A deal is the only way to bring them all back. Please, do not let other families suffer the same fate as mine. There is still time, and there are still lives to save.
And for those on the ground in Gaza, the clock is ticking as Israel vows to push forward with military force. James Lin and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Chinese President Xi Jinping is reportedly unhappy about a major port deal in the Panama Canal. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Earlier this month, Hong Kong-based CK Hutchinson announced plans to sell the port's holdings to investors led by US firm BlackRock in a deal worth nearly $23 billion. Sources told the Journal that China had hoped to use the ports as leverage in trade talks with US President Donald Trump. On Tuesday, Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee warned that the sale must comply with the law, hinting the deal could face trouble ahead. AI powerhouse Nvidia has unveiled fresh tech, including stronger chips for artificial intelligence and new robots. The market reaction has been less than stellar, with the firm's stock dipping after the showcase. Joyce Tseng has more.
Welcome to the stage, Nvidia founder and CEO, Jensen Huang. Another glimpse into the power of artificial intelligence at leading California-based tech giant Nvidia's annual conference, GTC. It's Taiwan-born CEO Jensen Huang revealing new and updated AI chips with upgrades to Blackwell microarchitecture.
This is the most extreme scale-up the world has ever done.
And introducing its next AI superchip, the Vera Rubin, set for next year. But stealing the show, a breakthrough in robotics.
Hey, Blue.
This bot, a collaboration with DeepMind and Disney, and a foundation model for humanoids.
I told you the progress of our robotics has been making enormous progress. And today we're announcing that Groot N1 is open sourced.
Thousands of industry reps from around the world flocked to the San Jose event for a first-hand look at Nvidia's new lineup, widely seen as the front line of innovation for the sector.
And being here, I think, really opens your eyes into what's, we're just seeing the very, very tip of the iceberg.
I tried to get into the keynote at the SAP Center today. Couldn't find the end of the line. I was like, I've been to like a Taylor Swift concert. It hasn't been this bad.
But in the stock market, another story. Though Nvidia has become one of the US's hottest stocks thanks to booming AI, it slipped 3% on Tuesday and is down over 20% from its January peak, cutting into its market value by $800 billion.
Jensen today do a great job just kind of presenting a lot of new products, his visions, a lot of like Nvidia's ecosystem when it comes to AI. But people are worried, well, like you have all this amazing products, amazing ecosystem, but where is the customer? At least for 2025, if you look at the top 4 CSP, the cloud service platform company in the United States, their capex, the capital spending, is actually continuing to increase. At least on that, you couldn't say the demand is decreasing. But I think the people is worried about like, okay, like beside this 4 CSP giants, like what's the other demand will come from?
As doubts swirl over whether lofty investments in AI will eventually pay off, concerns over the U.S.'s economic outlook under President Donald Trump, another factor hanging over the stock market. But at least for Nvidia, a full-fledged commitment to its vision for a future where AI is everywhere. Eason Chen and Joyce Sin for TaiwanPlus.
After being stuck in space for 9 months, U.S. astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams have finally made it back to Earth. The duo's journey was meant to last just 8 days, but issues with their spacecraft delayed their return. A SpaceX capsule was sent to bring them home from the International Space Station. Now they're heading for medical checks before reuniting with their families. Ahead of Taipei Fashion Week, a glimpse at this season's new looks. Taipei Fashion Week will run from March 27 until the 30th. This season's event is centered around the idea of endless fashion, advocating for sustainability within the industry. Designers had that mission in mind when creating their looks.
就是时尚无尽的意思，就是说我们希望时尚也是一个循环，时尚不会只有造成地球的负担，而是每一个在这个过程消费时尚的人也参与了分担地球的责任，让时尚的这件事情本身也是一个具有环保意识、是环境友善，然后对于地球整体的资源是友善的方式。
This year's opening event will be held at Taipei Songsan Cultural and Creative Park. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with a stunning view of peach and pear trees in full bloom in Spain. I'm Sani Chi, take care and see you next time.